Rev TV brings the world of motorsports into your home with over 100 live race series such as MotoGP, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Extreme E, World Superbike, and the newly launched all-electric E1 series. From 2 wheels to 4, from land to sea, your destination is Rev TV.
After a long and grueling season, it all comes down to one final race where 2 drivers go head-to-head here one final time in Miami. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Highline Diecast Collectibles Speed Cup Series and to Green Flag TV. My name is Ola Ramble alongside Scott Rankin. We bring you all of racing action from the season finale of this final race in the 2025 campaign. Scott, what a fantastic afternoon this one has turned out to be, and a stellar race set in store for us here in just a little while as racers are warming up for one final trip around Homestead-Miami Speedway this year.
Yeah, and this has been the course of everything across the season. We also heard last week at, Cosmo and Oshu locked up the combined season championships across both 2025A and 2025B. But it's not the only championship in offering tonight. The Best of the Rest title also has some fun available to us, including a slot in the 2026A championship playoffs. So that is still to be debated, and apparently that's actually the hottest championship of the night, because one of the biggest issues we come in here with is some gap between our title contenders. It's basically down to a championship race of 2, and here they are.
Right now, Cosmo Inoshu enters this final race 7 points clear but not see major. It is 18 points behind the points leader for Philip Scott and over 20 for Norman on back. And in fact, the bottom 3 drivers here haven't even shown up to race in action here tonight. So 3 drivers have already thrown in the towel, and that's going to make it only 7 chase contenders present this afternoon, with the top 2 set to try and make waves here this afternoon as well.
Yeah, and the points margin is such that it's going to take absolute disaster from one of our top 2, in both of our top 2, for Phil Scott and Ronnie Norman even to be in contention. Keep that in the back of your mind. But qualifying was important, making sure that you set yourself up for the journey that we're going to go on here tonight, because Homestead-Miami, the racing here tends to be quite good. Spread out fields, colder conditions, because this is a nighttime race. You want to get up against that fence, you want to use the boards if you're in that high lane, but both lanes are worthwhile. And the other thing is crossing those seam lines, Nolan. The cars jump, they snap a little bit sideways if you're not careful when you cross those seams.
All of this is going to take us straight through to racing action here this afternoon, as we'll give a quick shout out to the guys who keep the lights on here for the Speed Cup Series. Season 5 brought to you by Highline Diecast Collectibles, your go-to source for high-quality NASCAR diecast and memorabilia. Whether you're hunting for the latest releases, rare finds, or looking to sell your own collection, they've got you covered. Plus, don't miss their live auctions every week on Facebook, where you can score incredible deals on must-have collectibles. Check them out and follow along at facebook.com/HLD Collectibles, where passion for racing meets collectible perfection. And by Twist Steel Steak Appeal. Twist Steel Steak Appeal by Marty Pluto is a solid punch of sweet and a heat flavor that lingers to let you know it's there. Marty Pluto is an award-winning Steak Cook-Off Association chef and has finally revealed his secret recipe rub that'll blow you away with flavor. Steak, veggies, fish, pork, and poultry. Twist Steel Steak Appeal is truly a rub above the rest. All of this as we get set to go back to racing action here this afternoon on what is going to be a stellar afternoon. Of course, other sponsors include Beer Street Journal, Bow Ties, and Ryan Newman and Associates, powered by Remax for Life. We'll talk about them later on this afternoon. But with all of this said and done, Scott, title favorites. I mean, 2 drivers that have been fierce competitors up at the head. You got a favorite on this one?
Look, it's hard to go past Cosmo and Oshu. I'm always a bit of an underdog fan, though, and that makes me a Minardi Major fan at the moment. He's been quick and he's been consistent over the last couple of weeks, and slowly but surely dragging himself back to the fore. And who knows? When you talk to everyone, and I've talked to quite a number of people of late, everyone is talking about how good Cosmo Inoshu is and how he's driving at the moment. He talked a little bit about it last week, just a change in his driving abilities and things that have happened, and he's found something new. And that takes work, that takes input, that takes effort. So realistically, this should be celebrated. Being dominant is really, really difficult, and to the level of his dominance, that's nigh on impossible. So that's a big celebration of exactly what he's done over the last few months.
Don't forget, of course, Matt Montembeau as well, currently leading the way in the Best of the Rest championships with the high point number 28. The Canadian putting on some new colors here this afternoon as he is gearing up to try and see if he can lock that one out or lock himself in to a critical position as well come 2026. And all of this will take this race into the tail end here of the 5-minute warm-up session. And well, Scott, it is high time that we take a rundown of what your starting grid is going to look like for racing action here on this fantastic Thursday afternoon. The season finale will kick off like this as the warm-up session officially draws to a close. And it is Martin Ploutz standing on pole position here this afternoon alongside Manatsi Major, kicking off his title offensive strong by starting ahead of his title rival. Row 2 on the grid, it's Cosmo Inoshu not far behind. The Tiltify Camry lines up third alongside Ethan Amber back in fourth. Row 3 on the grid is Jason Gracias alongside Ronnie Norman, with row 4 holding Philip Scott and Nicholas Cote. And then rounding out the top 10 this afternoon, it's Matt Montembeau seeking the Best of the Rest championship. He is alongside Stan Hausman.
Yeah, outside the 10, though, it's going to be back to Zachary Cox. He'll be lining up alongside of Josiah Vincent, will be looking for a strong run of form to finish the season out. Justin Malello out of 13th puts in a weaker qualifying performance than he'd be expecting. Qualifying's not been strong for the 53 lately. Jason Shu will start alongside. All the way back to 15th and 16th, Nate Cotillo's been starting to put some results together towards the back end of this season. We'll see if Corey Hutchinson is going to stand in the way of that progressing. Back to 17th and 18th, Arabia Caton III and Scott Leonard. These two drivers have come into grief the last couple of weeks. Can they run a clean race here tonight from Homestead? 19th and 20th to round out the 20 is going to be Mark McFadden. Carl Holden doesn't set a time to come from out of the rear of the field. 20th, couple more drivers to go.
Terrell Wheeler and Tim Branson also not setting times. They'll start at the tail of the field. And then Caleb Bass, the lone driver that did not make the starting call for the Super Eagle Camry, will be starting his race back from 23rd as well. So the field is set to rumble out here this afternoon, and 100 laps, 150 miles set to kick off. And boy, oh boy, this is going to be quite the journey ahead of us.
Worthwhile noting, it wasn't described in the terms I'm about to use in sim, but it was used playfully. Ethan Amberg and the 14 machine to come from the rear of the field this week. He won 2 in a row, remember, with the performances over the last couple of weeks, and right place, right time. He's going to come from the rear and some overtaking to do for the 14.
Martin Ploutz, of course, has the best real estate on the grid by Wyndham Ryan and Associates, powered by Remax Select Pole Awards. Find the best real estates in Michigan. You don't need to pass this time. You just need to contact Ryan Newman and Associates today. Field coming around in the turn numbers 3 and 4. And for one final time, we are set to kick off racing action here on a Thursday night in the 2025 campaign as they'll make their way in to the United Rentals restart zone. Time to get the party started. It's go, go, go! One more time in Miami.
Oh, already on the rear. Jason Shu's being hit by Tim Branson. I think Corey Hutchinson got into him as well.
And just like that, the race is brought to a halt as quickly as it began. Martin Ploutz still maintaining the race lead. I don't know why that's any surprise to anybody but me, apparently. I mean, no one had any time to even mount an offensive on the 81.
No, that one immediately got out of shape instantaneously. And there's also damage on the front and rear corners. I think it was Hutchinson's car from the rear end of the field. So it's right about where Corey is on the restart.
Kind of already saw this getting out of shape on that static cam right down by the start-finish line here. That inside lane checked, and then Hutchinson. Oh, Jason Shu checked up in front of him big time.
Just didn't go. Was he in fifth gear?
No, I don't think I think he missed a shift. I think that's all that happened there for the number 3, because the car kind of lurched and then stopped, and then obviously Tim Branson came flying in with quite a head of steam. Let's ride on board with Jason Shu here, and we'll see if we can't dissect what happened to him.
Oh no, it's gonna be.
He's in second gear here. You see the gear on the right side of the dash. Yeah, he just had a really bad shift going. I mean, you saw the RPMs dip all the way down to almost 2,000 there. That's very abnormal for shifting up.
No, that's not a shift issue. You know what? It's the second place car that triggered that one. That's why there was such a massive checkup. Ronnie Norman had an issue with getting out of the box.
Take a look. Right there, yeah, Norman stacked it up in a coat, and it was on from there. And unfortunately, usually in a situation like this, right, it's the drivers all the way at the back that pay the price for it.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Yeah, because effectively, you got to remember Concertina effect. You know, it comes together all at one point in time. One car slows down, the next car has to react very quickly, or else they have to slow down more aggressive, and it just keeps, you know, the reaction window keeps shortening and shortening and shortening and shortening. So that's effectively what's going on.
Well, what this does allow to do is kind of show how things shake up as a result of not just the initial incident, right, but after qualifying here for the championship standings. And right now, well, Ionoshu still clear by 6 on Minazzi Major. Realistically, Major needs Ionoshu to finish well outside the top 5 to have a shot at taking the win here tonight.
Yeah, he's going to need some hate, and nearly went his way. But yeah, Minazzi Major is relying on a little bit of aid. Untimely caution. The thing for me is, how does Minazzi Major win this championship and how does Cosmo Ionoshu lose it? Is that the caution comes out at a tricky time. And if I'm in Minazzi Major's shoes, I'm throwing that curveball off strategy. I can beat him on the track on step talent and raw speed, yes, but that is not going to win me the championship. I'm going to finish just ahead of him, just behind him. That's not going to do it enough. If a window opens up to actually go out and win the championship with an alternate strategy, is it a risk? Yeah, it's a big risk, but you got to take risks. You need to make 7 points. If Cosmo Ionoshu is on exactly the same strategy as you, he needs a damaged race car. That's the only way that you're beating him on that strategy. So do something different. Don't be afraid to get aggressive with your strategy tonight.
Minazzi Major starting on that inside line. Interestingly enough, Martin Plutas opted for the outside lane of the restart after they didn't even get down to turn 1 last time. What do you make of that?
I think it's just initial restart things. You've also got to remember that it's going green, and the thing is, when they go on green, some cars up the front miss their start. You know, we saw it was Ronnie Norman's issue with getting through the gears. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunities for this start to go a lot better.
Coming down to it, it'll be lap 5 for the restart here. We didn't even make it down to turn number 1 last time. Brian Ploot spins the tires, as does Norman again, but this time the field gets clear, and we'll try it again in the one this time by Garcia's making an early poke for the lead.
Yeah, got a great launch, pushed massively out to the lead with Martin Ploot, who's going to try and rip the top, maintain momentum. Not often you actually see the top work out on the initial start either. Not enough momentum generally to carry your way around there. Normally the bottom is preferred for 1 and 2 on that first lap.
Coming out of turn numbers 3 and 4 as Nicholas Coe way up by the outside wall. Martin Ploot leads the first full green flag lap in this one. And they are 3 by 3 wide, deeper in the field here with one driver way down on the inside. That is Zachary Cox, just trying to stay down and out of the way of the JK Moto machine. While the rest of the field powers up and out. 6 laps in the books.
Just keep an eye on that midfield at the moment and where everyone's looking to run around. Have a look at what Cosmo's trying to do. All the guys that have got tire underneath them at this point in time are running the bottom. And looking to hang on to those tires is generally down the bottom as well. So Major's running the top, or at least he was in 3 and 4 that lap. I think that was a little bit of a defensive line. I know she missed the bottom. You can see that seam at the bottom of the racetrack. Racing at Homestead-Miami, that seam is one of the most critical aspects to your night. You're either going to be completely below it, 1 and 1, generally not considered to run one set of tires beneath it, 1 set of tires above it, but occasionally it can work, or completely above it. You don't want to run. And the thing is, they talk about the middle of the racetrack here. They call it no man's land for a reason. You generally suffer with understeer, then you suffer with oversteer, or a tight and loose feeling, both at the same time. Very tricky to generate lap time in the middle of the racetrack here at Homestead.
Well, Justin Mello trying to make some ground in that middle line regardless, as he's holding the outside of Matt Montembeau, and Montembeau going to poke in line behind Mello as a result. Jason Shu just now, I think, has taken his car into the garage area. We'll be calling it a night. Unfortunate way for him to start his final race on the backslide as a result of that carnage from earlier on. Cotilla to the outside of Ethan Amberg. And up into the wall for one car. I think that was Montembeau that caught the fence.
Yeah, keep an eye on him. We're talking about his potential to win the best of the rest. At the moment, he's got the lead by 2 points in the best of the rest over Jason Garcias. Corey Hutchison and Stan Hausman are both tied on 86. So effectively, Montembeau's on 89, Garcias is on 87, Hutchison and Hausman are both on 86. And then you've got Nate Cotillo and Jason Shu. So that eliminates Shu and Mark McFadden on 85. So you have effectively 7 drivers covered by 4 points. You can make it 8 to 5 points and 9 to 6 points. And the entire top 10 and the best of the rest covered by 8 points.
Cosmonaut Oshu having to go on defense here as Nicholas Coe going to attack the points leader. Coming down to the turn numbers 3 and 4. Oh, Martin Plutes up into the outside wall. Could that open the door for Jason Garcias? Now we'll look down the inside. No dice that time through. And Major holds on against the charging 17.
Have a look at them all scrambling for that clear out of the nose as well. I know she took the low line on entry because that was the only lane of clearing air. His opportunity to get on the outside of Nicholas Cote would have had him missing the bottom and talking about running in no man's land. That's exactly where he would have set the car. So you're going to make clear decisions about what you're going to do. And for me right now, I know she's perhaps running the bias a little bit too far forwards. He's struggling to get some rotation on the trail brake. They're starting to lose the rear end of the tires. I watched a number of cars set their tires on the seam, their right rear tire on the seam, entering forward. Don't want to do that. Stay away from that. That is certain disaster.
Stanhausen looking to the inside of Josiah Vincent as Justin Mello will look to defend, but right now the Bass Pro Shops number 4 Camaro making good time as he is up 3 spots in the opening dozen of this one. So Josiah Vincent into 9th. Philip Scott, though, up top. He's trying to regain lost ground as he is hovering just at the cusp of the top 10.
Yeah, got to run. Got to build it on Josiah Vincent to the inside. This is pretty much common racing, too, for Homestead-Miami. You'll see guys move to the outside, pick up a little bit of momentum, try and cross back over. Preferred lane's generally the bottom, but you can see they're forced to use, with that dirty air at the moment, they're forced to move around the racetrack, try and do something. And back up to the point. Garcias would love to win this best of the rest trophy after just having one of those years where he's been quick enough to win races, quick enough to drive at the point, and just stuff just kept happening that just robbed him of, great results. So for him, I know he'd love to come home not only with a race win to finish off the season, but he is 2 points behind Montembeau coming into tonight for that best of the rest category. Well, Montembeau is inside the top 10, but not close enough. This would be far enough for Garcias to win the best of the rest. There we go. That'll be second cross of the night.
Big hit on the back straightaway. Zachary Cox, the JK Moto podcast, number 25, going to spin to the round. And that looked like a pretty hefty whack that he took to the outside wall. And I don't think he was the only one that got involved in that either. Tough break for that number 25 entry. And you can tell that right front is completely ripped to shreds.
That might be enough for a second retirement of the night. That was not looking healthy. And you need, what's the most sensitive area of the car in terms of generating downforce? Right front corner.
Take a look as Cox tries to cut in behind Stan Hauseman. And has he lost this by himself? Yes, he has. Back and was around, and he overcorrected big time right into the path of Kyle Holden, who caught a piece.
And that was him crossing over the back into that top lane on the seam. That's the big reason he ran into issues there. Remember, we talked about crossing that top seam. It's bad off of 1 and 2. Down in 3 and 4, it's not too bad. The car just sort of hops a little bit sideways. This is actually not too bad. But 1 and 2, coming back up and across that seam, you got to hit it at a straight angle. Generally have to keep the wheel pretty straight when you cross it as well. So it's nearly a moment where you'll actually straighten the wheel out for half a instant. And you can see as soon as he crosses that seam, the rear end of the car just comes around.
Nico Tilla has had an incident under the yellow flag here, Scott. He has dropped all the way outside of the top 20. We'll look at that in a moment. For now, we got pit stops underway as big championship implications here, but not see major down pit road.
Yeah, great call. Great call. This is exactly what I wanted to see. And the thing is, from Cosmonaut Noshi's perspective, if you're behind him on the racetrack, you just follow him. Just do exactly what he does all night long, because he's got to outscore you by 7 points. So for me, even though I know she's probably on the better race strategy, you're not here to win a race. You're here to win a championship. Just follow what he does all night long. So, it actually does change the strategy. Great race off a pit road.
Oh, Nicholas Coates.
Was that speeding?
I don't think it was. I think he had to slam the brakes to avoid it. But, boy, he was pushing it out of pit road. What happened here to Cotilla is what I'm wondering. As this car just pulls to the inside and lets the whole field go around him. Having a hardware failure, maybe? He's kind of just drifting, isn't he?
If it's hard, no. Yeah, it's hardware failure. There you go.
That'll do it. The good news is he's back on the racetrack and he is now running up in 7th.
Yeah, so the good news is, under caution, if you're having hardware failure like that pulling down, if you don't stop, if you keep rolling just slightly, you actually maintain your track position. So you're allowed to come back up and grab your position back. But hey, good call by him. That keeps him in the race. If you're going to have an issue, get to the apron and have it. Lots of space down there.
Well, especially under caution, right? Best time to have it, because now he hasn't even lost a lap. He would have lost a lap had that been under green, but it wasn't. So he gets a freebie, and he retains the top 10. 1 lap to green, and unlike Pluto picked the outside for the restart, Jason Garcia's jumping down low.
We're actually talking pre-show about upcoming games and stuff that we're going to enjoy. I'll give you a stat, and this makes me feel old. Ratchet and Clank first debuted 23 years ago on PlayStation 2, November 4th.
That game's almost as old as I am.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm feeling.
I was 10 when that game came out.
I was 1.
I was the right age to be enjoying that. Gee, okay. I definitely think a younger pack of friends. So.
Well, in terms of like games like that came out when we were young, I still shudder to think that I was like 9 when the first version of Minecraft hit alpha on the internet. Jesus. I mean, holy cow. Excuse me, part of the language there for Rick Rowan. Replay back in the air. Jason Garcia's take it off Martin Pluto alongside and down to turn 1.
I didn't even know what a NASCAR was back then. I was a V8 Supercar fan for life. But at this point in time, NASCAR is the place. It's going to be really, really interesting to see the pace differential. Minardi Major, I know she actually did shadow him on that pit strategy.
Yes.
And he come out in front of him. So I missed that call. My apologies.
Shorter in the box by only half a second. Shorter in pit road total by 1 second. 3 wide deeper in the field, and that might create some issues further back here as, oh boy, get a bit squeezed up there is Scott Leonard, and that number 19 doesn't look like he's feeling too secure with that car.
No, and the other reason that I think Cosmo and Inoshi wanted to actually jump on the other foot was that he was struggling with the dirty air down the bottom of the racetrack as well. Throwing a little bit of a curveball into the strategy, changing the strategy up a little bit. This allows him to just at least have fresher tires and move around the racetrack a lot more. Stan Hausman nearly loses the rear end of his car, just ahead of Nate Cotilla. Nearly 3 wide heading down the front straightaway. Inoshu's, one of his strengths has been the right level of aggression on restarts with fresh tires. So
Cotilla is still fighting it now, trying to wrangle a top 10 here. Minardi Major right behind him. Stan Hausman to his inside of the big title contender. Right now, Minardi Major mired in traffic while Cosmo Inoshu has been able to break clear. Oh, hold on. Around goes Cotilla. Sideways. Dings off of Nicholas Cote. Ethan Amber gets a piece as well. And caution's out again. Boy, that car just shot around on him.
Yeah, it did. Absolutely went on him. You got to remember, from Nate Cotilla's perspective, he's relying on sensors. Most drivers get force feedback through the steering wheel. Cotilla's not going to get that. He's got to rely on his eyes and ears as his sense.
Yes. Realistically,
and adjust. He doesn't get any feedback.
He doesn't even have a traditional rig to most people, I don't think.
No.
What does he run with? Does he run with a joystick or is it a trackpad? Joystick?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, trackpads you could realistically do, but yeah, they're not easy.
It's dicey.
Joysticks, yeah. I wonder if he pulled the trigger here and that just spins the rear end. He's firing the missiles.
Well, it almost looks like he had the air taken off the back end. Maybe some of the some of that draft from the 2 cars behind him trying to flank him on either side.
Well, Malello got a big piece of that, as did Amberg.
Yeah.
So they're both going to be in for heavy repairs.
Right on board here with Ethan Amberg and what he saw. Caught right in the wheel well, too. That's one of the worst spots he could hit.
Yeah. Interesting to note. I mean, I've been tinkering with a lot of monitor settings and stuff with adjusted settings this week, and going from 3 monitors back to 1 monitor as a necessity, not because I wanted to. You really, realistically, for a lot of us, would look at what Nate Cantilla's driving. We would just not be able to do it. It takes so much time, practice, precision, because what you've got to remember is that the play that you have in a throttle pedal and the level of depression of that throttle pedal, he's got a quarter of that, probably a tenth of that in terms of a joystick play. So his motor control is going to be finer than yours does, which you can do, and it takes a lot of practice to be able to do that, but it is potentially possible. But you've also got to do that without feedback coming through the steering wheel. And therein is where the difficulty... I don't know, for any of you guys at home, iRacing has the ability to be mouse drivable. And it's something me and a couple of friends do every week 13. So we throw on some fun races and do some fun things, just shenanigans stuff. We'll pick up a legacy car, something that's not active anymore. It might be a legacy GT3 Mercedes or something like that. Basically, for the reason we do that is that each car has the option to lock control settings for that specific car, and then everyone will go and change their driving style over with a mouse and keyboard. I don't know if you've ever done that, but you realize how much you actually rely on the feedback coming through from the steering wheel as an extra sense.
I've attempted it. I can't drive any car faster than 80 miles an hour, though.
Probably for the best of us, you don't.
Yeah. I haven't had a hard enough time driving it with a wheel.
It's difficult, and the thing is, again, we talked earlier on in the season about the ability that we have, but there's such a car culture of people who want to still engage in driving with disabilities. He's got a buddy that doesn't have an eye. He's missing his right eye, so he's only got his left eye. He's still able to drive, but he can't use VR because VR is not compatible with single eyes for building depth perception.
I wonder how that would look.
Different hand positionings on steering wheels. I got a buddy with cerebral palsy, and he's one of the top racers. He's a really, really high level racer in Australia. Very good at IndyCar, actually, in the Australian community. And it's the thing is, what we do as an e-sport here keeps a lot of us together in racing. A guy who rolled a sprint car and had massive head injuries and was on progress to be one of the top sprint car drivers in Australia. He can't do that anymore because he no longer has any further brain or head injury may actually risks significant further damage, but he's still able to race on iRacing, and that's a big part about what we do.
Green flag back in the air once again as the field cruises on down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. Jason Garcia's down to the bottom once again. Plut's up on top. Over a quarter of this race already in the books as of this lap at the line. 3 cautions to speak of as well. The attrition rate is escalating. Shockingly, despite us having 3 cautions, still have 21 of the 22 starters working the lead lap here this afternoon. As around the outside of Matt Montembeau. Matt Montembeau around the outside of Cosmo Iosha. There we go. English is not my first language today either, it seems, as Plut swapping back. Holy cow, where did the speed from Plut go?
I'm just watching. There's a couple. So just to give you an update, a couple cars back there that are working through damage. Nate Cantilla, Nick Cote, and Zachary Cox all have damage. Tim Branson's a little way back, so I wonder whether or not he's actually been able to bring that car back up to speed. And Mark McFadden looks like he's got an okay race car at this point in time as well. So there's a few guys back there that are working damage off their race cars, but you're right. Speed up at the front. And I know she's going to send it in here. Remember, he's on 16-lap fresher tires than the race leaders, but they've done 8 or so green flag laps now. So there is some marks on them, but they are looking to progress towards the front. I think Benazzi Major's just saving and just conserving his stuff just a little bit.
into turn 3. I know Shoot trying to pick off Matt Monteboa at the head of the field. Martin Vloot down behind 4th place. Trouble fence straight away and hard to the outside wall for Terrell Wheeler. The field scatters. They're going to miss him, and somehow now the caution comes out. Several seconds too late if you ask me, but boy, that was a hit that Wheeler took.
Yeah. Yeah, big hit. And we'll get an opportunity to have a look at it. Seam on the bottom, and I guarantee the race car started to go. You can just see it starting to come around, doesn't even get to the seam. And the reason is, normally that race car would have been fine. There's the shot ball. Everyone misses him, by the way. No one actually makes contact with him whatsoever. But the big thing is, normally he'd have room to just drive that car back up the track, but there's a car on the outside, and I don't think Terrell knew where that car was. I think he was expecting that car to be tighter on the seam. Just watch, see, you think, no, the rear end of that car started to go around.
Oh boy, that could have been so much worse than it ended up being. Well, Scott, caution flag number 4 here on the day, and well, this championship showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon. We'll take ourselves a quick step back with more racing action on Green Flag TV in a moment. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Rev TV brings the world of motorsports into your home with over 100 live race series such as MotoGP, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Extreme E, World Superbike, and the newly launched all-electric E1 series. From 2 wheels to 4, from land to sea, your destination is Rev TV.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where we are set to go back to racing action here, this time by finding once again Old Remble alongside Scott Rankin, bringing you all of racing action from start to finish from the season finale of the Highline Diecast Collectibles Speed Cup Series Championship on Thursday night. Scott, we were talking a little bit under the yellow flag here about the possibility of what might be bringing some of these cars swinging around. Well, I think 17 miles an hour eastward winds and high humidity might do it.
Yeah, that'll certainly be taking some of the air off the cars. And I think you're right. You said the car that actually responded by the air coming off of it. It's exactly what that was. It's exactly that moment down in 3 and 4. It's not a headwind. It's sort of just coming off the right front corner, heading into turn 3 and 4 down the back straightaway.
To give a bit of a picture here, and I'll try to paint this as best as I can, Homestead-Miami Speedway, turns 3 and 4 are facing northeast, 1 and 2 are facing southwest. So you are driving effectively directly into those winds coming off of turn number 3, and they're going to be pushing hard on the left-hand side of the car, coming around through turn number 3 and 4 as well, which is part of what is allowing for some of those crosswinds as well.
Yeah, so therein lies the problem. You know, just getting the car to settle itself in the latter half of the corner. And basically, right where we're seeing cars starting to go around in 3 is where the wind just builds up. So you lose downforce in that particular end of... It's sort of 3/4 of the way around 3 and 4 is where it's kicking in. And that's where we're seeing the rear end of those cars coming around.
Green flag back in the air as Jason Gracias gets clear into turn number 1. Martin Blue down for second place. I know Shoot behind in third. Minazzi Major still in the fight as well. Martin Booth started to slip back. I know you and Major, remember, both on the tires here. Trying to see if they've got an answer for some of the front runners. And right now, Martin Booth split in the championship too. Martin Booth does not want to have the 81 in the way as Major takes it inside, and he'll look to secure third.
Big dive, big swing. Got to be aggressive, though. And at least trying to hang on to your momentum. Plute's actually going to respond. Ran the top, gained a whole bunch of momentum. Casillas just looks so comfortable out in front at the moment. Milano a big send down on the 3 and 4 as well.
Quite a lot of action still being held out on the racetrack. Drivers battling track conditions almost as much as they're trying to fight each other. Inoshu all the way up to the outside line, right up by the outside wall. Casillas going to clear, and Inoshu cuts to the inside, and he's trying to make a lunge for it.
He needs to get this clean air on the nose. It'll be interesting to see how Casillas' car changes its handling characteristics once he stops getting the fresh air. I'll tell you what, Inoshu, I was saying the middle tends to be no man's land here. Did you notice that? He ran the middle the whole way through 3 and 4. So
yeah.
Car's performing a little bit differently. That was a send to try and lock down the lead. It's a big send into the corners, drifts up in the middle, and then holds the middle lane, middle and exit.
He's found something that's working for him, clearly. And hey, if it's going to keep working with them, why stop? I mean, it's working so far. Just got to be careful that you don't let your opponents in on the secret by doing it too much at once. Josiah Vincent up to the outside of Ronnie Norman. Meanwhile, Minazzi Major on the backslide, struggling to get around Justin Mello into one.
Well, Mello actually just cleared him down to 1 and 2 on the previous lap. And Minazzi jumped up to the high lane to get some momentum, pushed him down the back straightaway, but he actually pushed him into 3 and 4 and unsettled the rear end of Mello. And then he dived. He sort of went to the high line again, got the run, got back by him. So again, it's just to and fro at the moment. But again, I think Major is actually trying to really save the tires. And now he's pressing on a little bit. The last few laps, I haven't seen him press up. When he's been in the low line, he hasn't actually jumped out that low line until very late in the corner. He's been carrying it for a long, long period of time and then moving up once he's out and onto the straightaway. So for me, that says he's trying to lock the car in a specific range in the corner. He's trying to keep the car nice and free, nice and balanced on the exit, not overdrive the exits, trying to save some tire. But once he's seen Cosmo Inoshu get to the lead, now I got to go and chase him down. I better start using up something.
As Vincent and Mello going to fight this one out. Mello tucks back in line. Josiah Vincent having a run of their own, and back behind Matt Montembeau scrapping it out with Philip Scott. Scott maintains his run down to the inside of the racetrack. Lots of side-by-side fight in the midfield is a hotbed right now.
Yeah, and again, guys on differing tire strategies is the big part of all this. Ronnie Norman's on the freshest tires of those, 23 laps old. He's got Josiah Vincent, who's also on those fresher tires on his outside. Malolo's burned his rears off a little bit now, and he's struggling for traction. Amberg's gonna go sailing on by. All of these guys came at the end of 23, end of 22. I think Matt Montembeau's on end of lap 29 caution, so he's on some of the freshest tires in the field. And he's trying to press on now.
And for the lead, Martin Blue battling back on 16 lap older tires than Inoshu. Screams back to the inside of turn 3, so Blue still has some pace, but he gets loose. And Inoshu drives right back around him.
Yeah, and here's the difficulty. Martin Plute's not been to pit lane yet. And now you see Minazzi Major diving into the corner quite aggressively, quite deep, trying to take that spot away. So I think the preferred lane has moved up to the outside on the raw basis that you want to maintain momentum. On the short run, you can hang on to it down the bottom. You can match. On the long run, you want to be up at the top. But generally, in years gone by, what's happened is that outside lane heats up your right front tire quite a lot, and it's difficult to hang on to that right front tire. So balancing the car and making sure that you can maintain the momentum without burning up the tire, which is what the inside lane is good for. It sort of makes the car drive a little bit looser, a little bit freer. can hang on to the tires down there. But the problem is building momentum to complete a pass. To get a pass done, you've either got to have massive tire advantage, or you've got to get to the outside, build some momentum, and then swing low.
Justin Melville back to the inside of Gracias and secures the 5th place position, but Jason Gracias is going to be looking to take that spot back away before too long, and already trying to get a crossover going. Hold on, Matt Montembeau way low on the racetrack exiting turn 4.
Yeah, so he's pressing. He's trying to use those tires up to gain some spots, and now it's starting to punish him. Gracias is on a little bit of a slide, and those two are competing, well, a big chunk of the field competing for the best of the rest category. Gracias still yet to make his first stop. He went aggressive as well. This is the comers and goers of this race. As Gracias went out there and got the lead, got a lot of fresh air.
Oh, hold on!
As soon as...
Into the inside wall for the Bass Pro Shops number 4. Cautions out again, and that will be day over most likely for the number 4 car. Tough break as he flick spins the car back around to get it back rolling. Man, that was, yet again, turn 4. Just crosswinds, catching drivers out.
Yeah, difficult. And again, I think you're right with that wind. That wind direction still coming from sort of east-northeast. It's just slightly north of east. You just see it just comes around right there, which is where the air gets on the rear end of him.
Never stood a chance, and his car slides down, barely had time to get on the brakes before he went into the inside wall. At speed from the pit wall. Back and slides in. There it is.
Yeah, tricky. You know, it's everyone that's being affected by those issues down in 3 and 4 tonight. Everyone's struggling with that wind to just keep the car underneath them a little bit. It's not bad over in 1 and 2 because it's generally the entry phase of the corner that's changing. And it's nearly a headwind down the back straightaway, which means you can actually get more downforce. More air moving over the car and moving underneath the car as it's getting blown into the car. Basically what's going on there.
And this one going to bring pretty much everybody down to pit road, bar the top 4. So Cotilla, Montembeau, Holden, and Scott, who are already down within the last 22 to 15 laps ago. They are staying out. Everyone else, though, is in.
Yeah, I had a feeling this was going to be the case. For any of the guys that hadn't pit yet, they absolutely needed to pit here. Get some fresh tires on because they were starting to sink through the field. But for all those guys that came in one of the very, very earliest cautions, and yeah, I know she nearly snapped sideways.
It would be one of the more dramatic ways to end a title fight. Not the way we would want it to end, obviously. Speaking of title fight, let's take a look and update you guys on how the point situation is looking after the latest run of pit stops. As we've got, well, how about that? Philip Scott actually jumping ahead of Major now in the points. But that said, he's gained all he can, so he's got to...
He's on the way to go backwards.
If he were to finish the championship in first, he would need for Inoshu to finish outside of the top 10.
Well, opportunity to be aggressive now.
Yes.
And it'll be really interesting. It's interesting to note, probably the top 5 didn't take tires because Stan Hausman had a very, very short transit time through pit lane. So I think that is fuel only from the 39. So I am very confident that it is the top 5 on older tires. And then you'll have effectively Inoshu being the first car on fresh tires. So this then presents a problem. You know, you gotta be aggressive. You gotta be in the right lane. You gotta place your car. You gotta read the traffic. Generally, getting a pass on somebody that you're racing comes down to reading the traffic better rather than doing a better job.
Not incorrect. So we will see how this one will pan out. 54 laps to go. We go back to green and some significant tire disadvantages up front. Worth noting as well, by the way, Stan Hausman, 7.2 seconds in the box, fuel only for the number 39. Iris pace car is off, and once again, we jump to the green flag. Hausman spinning up the tires. Minazzi Major already looking for 3 wide down the front, looking for 4 into turn 1, but they're going to keep it down to 3.
That was just a restart. Cotilla just did not get away very well at all on the restart. So advantage back the way a Major in terms of track position, but not on the points board at the moment. But he can do something with this. It's just how aggressive does he want to be with those tires? See, look at Martin Plute. He's been really aggressive trying to chase these guys down.
He's been having one of his best performances of the season here.
Well,
and as I say that, around he goes, keeps it off the wall. No, and he overcorrects, and I'm going to stop talking.
That one wasn't me. Martin, I know you're listening. It wasn't me. I swear I had nothing to do with that one.
Jeez.
That was uncanny.
Why did they have to be like a self-spin on that one? Now I feel bad.
You just shoot one of his. You got a BB gun up there. You take out one of his tires with that.
I think I would. I don't think a BB gun's got the range from the commentator box down to turn 2. Maybe a Remington 700 might.
Oh, I've never seen, like, I was sitting here just going, oh, he's gonna do it, isn't he? He's gonna do it. Yeah. Nolan killed him.
I've seen it before, but very rarely do you get it that instantaneously.
Normally it's me, commentators cursing people too. It's very rare that I get to sit here and go, oh, no, don't. Okay, he said it, too late.
There is only one time where I've seen something more uncanny than this, and I'll get back to that just after this one here, but we'll watch this again at speed here. Watch as Plute's just going to lose back end entering turn 1, and thought he had it saved, and then just overcorrects, and nowhere for Stan Hauser to go, who finishes the job. But let's be honest, even if Hauser wasn't there, that car was going into the outside wall regardless.
Yeah, it was. He was either going to lock it down in the top lane. The problem was if the car started to come back down the racetrack, Minazzi Major had actually gone low. So he was in a
Hey,
tough
Lucas
spot
going down pit road.
I think they realized how dire their situation was. So
the only
also,
time we've seen a commentator's curse more uncanny than that one was, it was actually similar, but it was Howie Burrows in the High Tide Racing League race at Michigan. This happened in the ARCA, when they were running the ARCA car last season. He was filling in for that week. He was talking about how good Dustin Ping was having that race, and you know how along the backstretch, right at turn 2 down to the inside, there's that wall where it juts outwards towards the racetrack until that safety vehicle goes out. 2 seconds after he said those words, Dustin Ping got spun coming out of turn 2 and pretty much slammed. He hooked the car right on the edge of that, like flicking the car into a violent series of 360 spins, and immediate day over. At least Martin Blue's got a chance to get back in, and that's my saving grace here.
Yeah, he does. Still time to work on that car, get his way forwards.
Maybe not. That's worse than I thought it was.
It's not great, but it's definitely a lot better already than it was. It's getting better. He's going to need some saving graces of some more cautions to get it there, but I think we're actually in range of 50 laps. It's going to be tough to get it home from here. I reckon probably 40 laps you're a shoe-in to get home, and you'll probably see the front two, the championship contenders, base their strategy around that.
Well, halfway home, and a multitude of cautions in the opening 50 laps of this race, and I don't think it's going to get any calmer between now and the end of this one either, because that aggression is going to start to pick up here pretty soon.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're already starting to see that. Pick up here pretty soon. And have you been watching the racing that we've been doing over the last sort of 10 or 15 laps?
I mean more. It's going to pick up more than what it's already been picked up. They're going to get a third hand to pick more up.
Yeah, there's every opportunity that it gets more aggressive. But for now, like I think we're on the leading edge of how aggressive it can certainly get, because everyone's been showing their wares. Racing's been good. Racing's been really good. The car on a track, oftentimes is quite tricky to get right.
Yes, sir. Green flag back in the air, and we will try again. Cosmo Inoshu gets clear, but Nazi Major, a little bit of a bobble, but he keeps it under him. Clears Jason Garcia, and he's able to get to the bottom in turn 1. Justin Mello slipping backwards, and Garcia clears him for third.
Garcias would love a really, really good run here, now that he's on fresh tires and matching strategy with the rest of the field. Worthwhile pointing out as well, Malolo started 13th with some work to do. He's done that in the race thus far. I'm actually really surprised. We're expecting his car to have some damage after that contact earlier on. Looks like he got away with that one okay. The car's still performing quite well. He's been struggling with the rear of the car on longer runs, as have most people.
Still having a good outing, though, as here's the Hornet's Nest. We see it every restart. Mark McFadden, haven't talked about McFadden much tonight. Two Canadians duking it out with Matt Montevo right behind him. Right now, McFadden up 9, highest position he's been running all day today, and he is scrapping it out for the last couple spots inside the top 10.
Yeah, tricky though for Matt McFadden, because he's on the right tire strategy at the moment. Has he learned much across the course of the season about tire conservation? I think interestingly as well as Matt Montembeau trying to cut his way back through the field. Remember, pit off sequence. Everyone else came at the end of lap 44 under the caution. A couple laps later, there's another caution. He just went on the wrong lap.
You know, McFadden was telling me earlier today he didn't have a lot of high hopes for this race. His goal today was just to finish the dang thing, because Homestead-Miami Speedway is not his bread and butter. So his goal today, just to finish. He was even talking about just staying out of the way. Hold on, Cotilla's up into the wall and dropping back. Doing a good job of holding it up there, though, letting drivers through. But McFadden was talking about not even being on the lead lap and just trying to stay out of the way of lap cars. He was mentioning they don't tend to have a lot of patience. But, hey, fighting for a top 10 here, I'm sure he's pleasantly surprised at the performance he's been having so far this afternoon.
I think one of the big things for him has just been finding that hole to get into. Just watching him at the moment, I'm seeing he's struggling for a little bit of that consistency. Right? I think if he can find that, all of a sudden you'll start to see him come on song. And I will say as well, the next-gen Cup cars are rather difficult to get a feeling for that consistency going as well, because for me, just trying to set yourself up for the long run is not easy. So you don't get a lot of feedback in these cars. So they were actually one of the hardest ones to drive in that long run.
Well, so far, McFadden doing a decent job regardless, as Scott Leonard fighting it out with with Kyle Holden, as Kyle Holden just cleared him for 8th. Holden right now, the hard charge of the day. He is up 12 compared to Leonard's 9, and Philip Scott still down 3 and looking to regain lost time.
Yeah, work to do for him. Again, wrong place, wrong time a couple times tonight for Phil Scott. But he's managing to start putting in and making some progress. I think he's had flashes of speed. I think he's a little bit frustrated with the back end of this season.
Hard to blame him, right? I mean, he's a driver that's got speed, and it's just everything that could have gone wrong for him has.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Which is, I mean, it's very, very frustrating to watch. Somebody who's having one of those sorts of seasons. So what more can you do? You just show up each week, put your best efforts out there, and see what happens for you. And occasionally it does. You know, yeah, I can understand that. Just to update on Stan Hausman as well. Looks like he had some sort of internet or hardware drama. He actually disconnected for the server. He's gotten back in, but he's not back out on the racetrack as yet.
Yeah, still has a meatball flag that he is attempting to get cleared, is I think just what he's dealing with right now. Kyle Holden, meanwhile, looking to attack Matt Montembeau. Look out, the Canadian gets loose, and the High Point Camry nearly takes out the Simrap Market Camry as well.
Difficult, easy, boys. You want to race hard, you want to show each other what you're capable of, but make sure you still got race cars at the back end of this one. Montembeau will go up and rip the fence, see if he can't generate some momentum, and stays alongside. Crucially, no period where Phil Scott can clear up and take the slide job. And it's critical that when you do get clear, that you take that line away from that car as well, because then you take their momentum away. Hutchison and Cote
fighting a similar fight here, and it's one that's going to see both cars get a little loose there in 4, and Cote able to be the one that secures that move. Meanwhile, Holden, Montembeau, and Scott continue to fight it out, and they're not the only ones, as the Championship 2 set to go at it as Minazzi Major knows he has to get around Cosmo Ocean for the top spot.
He's been good on tires though tonight. The biggest thing I'd say about Minazzi Major is we've been seeing a lot of patience from him tonight. I know she's had raw speed. And normally, I know she's not just had the raw speed, he's had the ability to back it down and go save tires. We're not seeing that from him tonight. He's only had the upfront speed. Every single time the run's gone on more than 10, 15 laps, we've seen that go back in the favor of Minazzi Major. But the problem is, I think these two are still the class of the field. And if they finish first and second on the racetrack, they still need some support for Minazzi Major to take the title. He still needs something to happen, and I know she will slide a number of positions.
Well, Minazzi Major still running up there in the second place spot. Justin Mello right behind, up 10 as he charges after the field. Gracias, Amberg, Norman, 4th, 5th, and 6th. While Holden, Scott, and Montembeau up 7th through 9th as well. Mark McFadden and Tim Branson will also look set to try and fight it out. 11th and 12th on the road. And confirmation, by the way, Jason Gracias, as it stands, is currently the best of the rest champion. But, of course, with how close that fight's been all race long, that could swing on a pendulum at the drop of a pin.
I think the critical thing is that relies on what Montembeau's got in terms of pace. And remember, he's a couple laps better on tyres. Couple. 33.3 last time by for Gracias. Plays 33.3. So they're both running the same pace at the moment. But again, Gracias is another one of those drivers who's at upfront pace. Montembeau, the cars sort of come to him a little bit on the medium to longer run.
You're right on board with Montembeau here, getting a look at what it's like inside his car. All while that's going on, Mark McFadden has just lost a spot back to Tim Branson, with Nicholas Cote waiting in the wings as well. So still got fights all the way up and down throughout the field on what is becoming one of our longest green flag runs of the night.
Yeah, they're starting to get the hang of this one. 16 or so laps since we went back green. Looks like the cars are starting to settle down a fair bit more. Winds are still up, but the direction seems to be stabilized. That's the tricky part with moving into racing conditions is just getting a read. Once you get a reasonable run in underneath your belt, sometimes you go out there, you charge a little bit too hard, and the rear end starts to swing around because the wind's swung around, and then you just make that adjustment as a driver. And sometimes you don't know that you're burning off the rear tires until they're overheated, they're overcooked. You can sort of feel the car's quite stable, but it's rotating a little bit. Oh, I've got a nicely rotating car at the moment. I'm just going to lean into that a little bit. You lean into it a little bit, and then the rears are cooked.
Justin Mello, though, still trying to fight back Jason Gracias, and all of these drivers trying to find whatever pace they can. And now we're entering the trickier part of the race, right? We've gotten ourselves with a bit of a long green flag run, but now because all these drivers are starting to break apart a little bit more, it's becoming harder and harder and harder to make moves as a result of the wearing tires, of the high winds that continue to plague this race. And so far, not a lot of drivers opting to try to go for lunges. Well,
you'll have one good corner and one bad corner as well. The other thing to remember is you've got a whole bunch of drivers that are quite close together on skill level as well. And generally when that happens, you end up with a little bit of a draft train. Garcias is starting to struggle with the fronts, keeping the car down. And the problem is once the fronts start to go, you've got to delay your throttle input, got to delay your throttle input, got to delay your throttle input. So the car behind you just gets so much more of a run off the corner. And that's what we've been seeing from Ethan Amberg.
"32 laps to go, and Garcias not clear of Amberg, as Amberg battling back to the inside."
But the big thing was Ethan Amberg was actually clear up off of 2. He could have elected to take that line, and he didn't. That time he was not clear on 3 and 4.
Yeah, definitely not.
You can be aggressive with clearing yourself up. And Ethan Amberg, I think, had the rights last time by for 1 and 2. And you just see the momentum you build from running that high lane. Malello's cars start to shut off as well.
And Garcia's actually opened up a door on the inside of Mello into turn 1. That doesn't happen all that often. And Amberg wanted to follow through, but got shut down by Garcia's already being there. Caution is out once again, and it's for Cotilla around to the front straightaway.
So I think this will be the 3rd set of tires for the bulk of the field that they'll use. So they'll have 1 set in reserve, which is okay. You can get home on that. No problem.
Washes up the track too aggressively, and around it goes on the transition. Surprised that was a caution flag. He was at the back of the field. Not a lot of drivers around him.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it is what it is.
yeah, there was a car around. Here's a caution flag. Seen some interesting behavior from the RSN caution system tonight, unfortunately. Very delayed on stuff that's definitely a caution, and then that one's probably not a caution and triggers it. You get that sometimes.
Extend tonight to the last 3 months. Well, Scott, here they come.
This will be guaranteed pit stop for the field.
Except for Norman, who stays out. Huh.
Ronnie Norman's got 1 set of tires left is why.
He's holding the reserves for later. I see.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, he's sort of holding a set, is my thinking.
Well, 4 tires and fuel for everybody else, and quickly off and away for most drivers here. Looking to go 4 wide on the exit of pit road. Careful, boys, and they'll get that sorted, or will they? Kyle Holden clips the grass, but clipping it's fine, as long as you don't go all the way in. Ronnie Norman staying out. He is the only driver to do so. We will get another quick step back and return with more racing action in just a moment on Green Flag TV. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV as racing action is set to kick off once again here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. 27 laps to go in the final race of 2025. My name is Old Ramble alongside Scott Rankin. As we bring you all of racing action from start to finish of this final critical round, Ronnie Norman stayed out on 28 lap-older tires, a decision that could come back to bite him. Green flag is in the air, 27 to go, we're back underway.
Yeah, Ronnie Norman's going to be on old tires here, which is very, very relevant. I think I think the field are down to their last set, but the thing is, we do 10, 15 laps and get a caution. It's tricky because you're going to be quicker, but you got to cut your way through the bulk of the field, and that's the difficulty. But at the same time, he's got fresh air up at the front for now. Can he do something with it?
27 laps to go. It'll be 26 of the line. Cosmo9 with an aggressive dive, clears out with a big slider across the nose of Minazzi Major. That time line coming out of turn number 4. Down to the bottom side as Minazzi Major drives her in deep. And Cosmo9 will have to fend this one up top. And Minazzi Major says, all right, that's our point. Let me return the favor.
Yeah. I mean, you got to trade blows at this point in time. You want to win the race, you want to win the championship. Time to leave it all on the racetrack. Momentum will go the way of the 82 off the top of 3 and 4. But the other thing this is doing, this is also taking tire away from a pair of them in the run of the flag as well.
Ronnie Norman still holding on 28 lap-older tires. They have not really been able to do much with them. Now they're both going to get a run, and Inoshu will be shut down as he's got nowhere to go. Major's going to pin him up against the 32, but Inoshu with that draft push the 32, trying to get clear, and they're going to look for 3 wide for the race lead here down to the turn number 3.
Good decision-making by Ronnie Norman, though. Recognize those two wanted to race it out. He's on all the tires. He can get involved in this squabble. But the benefit he's looking for is he needs to go maybe another 5 laps before he gets a caution. At least 5 to 6 laps before he gets a caution. But none of that works if he's the caution. If he's going to damage race car, the strategy falls to pieces. So he's got to be smart about how he plays this. And that was a driver attempting to not get out of the way, but offer a path of least resistance. And that's sometimes the best thing you can do.
Critically, Minazzi Major has not been able to get around the Amsoil camera. He's still stuck in all that dirty air, and he's got cars at his inside right. Jason Gracias down to the inside as Kyle Holden clips the wall. And now they're 3 wide down the first straightaway. And all of this is making it really difficult for Minazzi Major to close up and fight this one out with Cosmo9. Norman's trying to stay out of the way, but Major just hasn't been able to get by him until now. And even then, only just.
Well, the thing is, remember I said having first dibs and reading the traffic was critical? That was a couple of restarts ago. Look how critical it is. Look at how far out in front Cosmo9's gone. Now, if you're in Inoshu's shoes, you're happy for the pack to come back to you.
Oh boy, Philip Scott and Justin Mellon making door-to-door contact in the middle of the straightaway as they try to fight this one out. And Ronnie Norman still pinned up on the outside line. Here comes Amber down low as Mello is getting swallowed up as well.
Well, down to the 3 and 4. How about 4 wide? 4 wide. No.
For just a moment.
No.
For just a moment they were. Well, they quickly got it back down to 2. And then 1 from there. Philip Scott trying to work that outside line as we'll take 20 laps to go. This time by at the line. And what a scrap these guys are having for one another. Right now, Inoshu looking set to try and drive away. And to the inside goes Philip Scott.
Yeah, Major's just being drawn into this battle that he doesn't want to be in. He'd rather be sitting there saving tire, which has always been his plan. With the How the Knights run, he's expecting there to be another yellow flag. If that happens, he wants fresh rubber. He wants to have fresher rubber. He wants to have tires that have not been to an extreme heat soak. He wants to condition them nicely, whispered sweet nothings to them, and brought them in lovingly. And then they'll love him back for a race win.
Well, he was not able to do that off of the restart, was he? Instead, he had to come and beat those tires into submission instead, and they're working with him now, but the problem is how much tread has he worn off of those tires in the midst of trying to fight his way through, and he's still not done fighting. Philip Scott's back to his inside.
Again, he just can't. He just doesn't get preferred lanes at the moment. Scott proofs up. So that's the slide job. That's exactly what I was talking about in terms of the slide job. That's what you're going to do. If you want to advance yourself at Homestead, that's what you're going to do, though. You gotta be willing to take those slides.
Matt Montembeau, by the way, has reclaimed the points lead for best of the rest.
Just by one.
All the while, Amberg right behind, fighting it out with Mello. Justin Mello up top, Ethan Amberg down low. And Amberg going to get clear. Good news for him. As Justin Mello, though, going to try to make a quick course correction back low to try to retake it 7th.
How good's the battling been up and down the field tonight, though? A lot of room to make adjustments and race each other and be a little bit more aggressive. Slide jobs, two distinct lanes. This is why we love this racetrack, though. You can move around the racetrack and make speed. It's not just you're stuck in a groove. Sometimes Michigan plays out that way. We just get stuck. There's one defined best groove, and you're either in it or you're out of it. A lot of differential. Points tonight, you want to be up top. Points tonight, you want to be down bottom. Different lines give you either speed or tire conservation. You've got to move around the racetrack, and you've got to be capable of running everywhere. At the top end of things, that has to be in your toolbox. If you come into a field like this, and you only are able to run one line around a racetrack, you'll never move forward because everybody's in that lane.
Scott Leonard has had a problem at the back of the field as he is dropping like a stone. This is coming around through turn numbers 1 and 2. Let's take a look back at this one here. This will be coming off of 4. He's got Tim Branson behind. Back end comes around, overcorrects and goes hard into the outside wall. No caution, though, for that big hit for the 19.
Yeah, tricky for him, and you can just see how difficult it is just to keep those cars underneath you. There's another car, it's Montembeau. The rear end of his car going around, was it Montembeau or Norman? I think it was Montembeau. It was Montembeau. Kyle Holden's up there challenging for P2 now.
Major all the way up to the outside wall. Jason Garcia's down low. Major able to drive around. And can he officially get clear? Yes, he does. So Major gets in there for 4th place. But still unable to get a run going here as Major holds this one all the way up top. And now Major going to keep this fight going. Jason Garcias down to the inside.
Major's just had no speed on this final run. He just can't put it together. Like I said, one of his biggest benefits has been his ability to save tire and come back at people. He's just never been in a rhythm in this final run of the evening. I guarantee you, 10 laps from now, he'll probably be the quickest car on the circuit. But by that stage, the race is over. Sometimes that's just it. You are the quickest car or the fastest cars, and it just doesn't play your way.
Jason Garcia sweeps across the nose, and Minati Major makes a quick correction down to the inside, battling back to fight his way around the number 1. He clears him, but has he cleared him by 2 margins? He's off the racetrack and keeps it off the outside wall only just. And here comes Amber to make it 3 wide because he was too aggressive on the descent.
Oh, now Minati Major's going to get the barrier. They nearly get into each other, racing each other hard.
Well, they keep it out of each other for the time being, but man, talk about a slugfest back here for 4th place, and this is allowing for Inosha to just walk out that lead. And at this point, it is Inosha's championship to lose.
Oh, Garcias on the scene. Loses a little bit of traction. Just how much the race changes, you know? Come down to Major and Inosha going for track position on each other. Like it's really, really difficult to have a car that switches off in that final run as well, from an RT Majors perspective, because again, he's been such a good car in the patience, but it just changes. We had, we're going to have this final run is going to be 29 laps. You see that? You see how aggressive you got to be? Sometimes you just overdo it on how hard you drive the car. And I think that's the case. Is that a right front tire?
It is.
Pointing in the wrong direction?
Justin Mello has absolutely tanked the wall at some point on the racetrack. Jump back a few seconds here. And this is going to be, well, this is exiting turn 2 here. He's alongside Ronnie Norman. Fight with Nicholas Coate. Norman behind. Mello looks at the inside of Coate. This is the fight for what would have been 8th through 10th. Has he got loose again in 4? Yes, he has. Got a little loose, and a hit from behind from Coate puts him in the wall.
Ooh, I just ripped that tire off. I can tell you no meatball flag for him, so he will be able to get this one to the end. But it's just going to be a slow crawl to the finish from here.
Arabia Katie coming down pit road for his for one more patch service for him on the afternoon. Ronnie Norman seeking to maintain the gap as Coate sits down on the inside line. So the fight for 8th now down between just 2 drivers as they go down to the 1 and 2.
Yeah, keep an eye on these guys too. Not done. Still squabbling away. You know about the standings. I think Nick Coate should be proud of himself at certain points. I think, you know, his biggest weakness on the season has certainly been the longevity. But up front in the run, he's one of the quickest cars at the moment. You get into a medium length run and all of a sudden he sinks like a stone though. But, you know, his raw pace is there. And one of the things I've said to, and, you know, this is a very, very common thing. It's so much easier to teach a guy with pace to look after the tires than it is to teach a guy who doesn't have the speed to be quicker. You know, so you'd rather have a driver with this skill set. So that's something he'll go away and he'll work on. Balance is a large part of that. Over-inputting on the steering wheel is another. Entry speeds and maintaining speed whilst not burning tires is a big thing. Generally, skills progression in NASCAR goes the way of fine speed. You know, generally a lot of guys go, well, I'll look after the tires, I'll be quick on the long run. And then you go, oh, I'm great on the long run, but I've got no short run speed. So I'll build up on that short run speed. All your long run speed goes away. And then you sort of build on working on the two together.
4 laps the distance now in this, not just this race, not just this season, but the year for race number 4. Kyle Holden looking to the inside of Philip Scott as there is Scott Leonard slow on the racetrack after his hit. Just looking to survive the night. I know she continuing to pull away, and what a blast it has been for the Touch 5 Camrys this season.
I think the end of this one's going to be a celebration for him. He knows it's on him to make a mistake. 3 to go, margin of a second. Guys behind you are going to be running you down at 0.3 of a second per lap. It's just not going to happen. I really don't want to put the mockers on the 88 at the moment as well. But I'm so keen for Kyle Holden to finally put a race together. I can tell you the guy is quick. Very, very quick, very, very capable. But again, another one of those ones. Him and Phil Scott have had such bad luck this season. And Holden definitely more than Phil Scott. But yeah, I think third, you know, just motivates him, spices it back up for him. If he can get second and have an amazing battle with Scott to the end of the race as well, that's a huge step in terms of confidence as well. But I think the big thing for him, you can just see him giving room to Phil Scott as well. He just wants to bring the car home. Finishing a race in this series with the way things are going for Kyle Holden is just going to be a huge, huge gain.
I know, Shu, out of turn number 4, he will start his trip around this racetrack for the final time today. This race will not be going into overtime. What a season has been for Cosmo Inoshu. Was able to take home several wins after waiting so long to get his first. And with no competition behind, he is going to be able to take what will end up being his 14th top 10 of the season, his 12th top 5, and his 6th win in just 16 starts. Cosmo Inoshu, winner in the final season of 2025 in the Speed Cup Series.
How about the battle for second, though? Less than 500ths in that one for P2. And there's a lot of celebrations going the way of Cosmo Inoshu in session. I can tell you he's receiving a lot of congratulations from drivers. Amberg's going to let him know.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, mate.
Tough break from Nazi Major. I know he was hoping to have a good afternoon, but he's going to come up here and give his congratulations as well. I think it's very safe to say it was a very convincing win for Cosmo Inoshu, and this one is a well-deserved burnout celebration this is going to be having on the front straightaway.
Yeah, he's going to be celebrating this one. Finishing a championship with a win as well. Again, that's just the consistency.
On top of taking the Twisted Beer Championship from last week as well.
Yeah. Yeah, just a level across the season. How cool.
Fantastic outing for Cosmo Inoshu. As we will look to get a chit-chat in here with all of these drivers in just a moment. But for the time being, we'll take a rundown of the official post-race results here this afternoon. This race had a little bit of everything, didn't it? And coming home at the end of the night, it is going to be the likes of Cosmo Inoshu, the new champion, taking home the win of the last race of the season, with Kyle Holden coming home number 2. Philip Scott back in 3rd. Then it's Ethan Amberg in 4th. Renata Major will finish 2nd in the championship, and he'll be back, no doubt, with a vengeance in 2026. From there, Gracias, Montembeau, Cope, Branson, and Norman round out the top 10, with Montembeau clinching the Best of the Rest championship from 2025B.
By a single point. By a single point, by the way. Justin Malello with damage falls to 11th, and outside the top 10, the final race of the season from Mark McFadden, Josiah Vincent, Zachary Cox, and Corey Hutchinson, last cars on the lead lap. Caton with a late pit stop finishes 1 lap down. Scott Leonard from 4 laps down. Here we get into the retirements. Nate Cotilla with issues all night long, 30 laps down. Martin Plute, 50 laps down, and a meatball flag for him. Stan Houseman also 52 laps down, unable to repair either of those cars to the 20.
And moving on back to close out the field, Terrell Wheeler and Jason Shu close things out, with Shu having to retire his race after he didn't even make it to turn number 1. Meanwhile, Caleb Bass will be finishing this one in a DNF here this afternoon. He did not make the start to this race as well. Well, let's get a chance here. We'll talk to the drivers that come home numbers 1, 2, and 3 here in tonight's race. And we'll, of course, look to kick it off first and foremost with the defending Twisted Beer champion, and on top of that, the now defending regular series champion as well. Cosman, what an afternoon. 2 championships in 2 different weeks, and I could not think of a more commanding way to close out a season than that.
Man, I'm so happy. I saw some scenarios where I was going to throw it away, but luckily everybody stayed quiet behind us, and we had a good race, even though some of the long runs, I feel like our speed was definitely a long run. The line that I was running was helping my tires for the long run, and I was watching that mirror the entire time to see when to start running the top. So I noticed everybody was making ground on the top, and whenever they got to a certain 10th of me, I started running the top and taking a bit of their air away, and it paid off. I'm so happy that I didn't choke this one. I had so many scenarios. We've been having power outages all week, just random. And yesterday, the last one was about this hour. So I'm happy that our grid was able to keep it together.
The series, of course, has had quite a few highs. It's had its lows as well, but you definitely are able to close this one off on a high. Of course, the Winter Series is just around the corner. Do you plan on competing in the Winter Series, or are you going to take a much-needed vacation and return in 2026?
I'm not sure what my future plans are. For right now, I'm just glad that I was able to run this out. It's really hard to wake up at about 3:30 a.m. and do a race, and then go back to bed. That's what I do, by the way. I've been doing it for a while, but recently my body is letting me down, so I can't really do that anymore. So until the year is over, I know for a fact I have one more race that I'm going to do, which is our final race at FTF, and then that is going to be it for the year. I just want to enjoy sleeping
Well, what
the
about
full 8 hours.
Well, what about 2026? Can we expect to see you back to fight for that championship one more time?
I can't promise anything just because I don't know how I'm going to feel. It's always a do I feel good to do it? I will. If I don't, I don't. But I did enjoy my time here. Everybody's been racing really clean, really hard. It's been fun, and I'm happy to win the championship. Everybody puts on a great show here. Stan, Ethan, Martin, they all rock for what they do here. And you guys with the broadcast, obviously, everybody who came on my car, everybody who put their names on my car. Yeah, don't quote that. Yeah, it's nice for a whole year's effort to pay off, you know.
Cosman, I know she will take away the fifth different championship in the Speed Cup Series in as many seasons, and a hard-earned championship at that. Scott, let's take a rundown, and I'll pass you on down to Kyle Holden. The hard charge of the day, plus 18 for the driver that finishes second.
Yeah, Kyle, I know this season's been frustrating for you. You just, every time you seem to be putting yourself and putting the car in a great position, or you take a step sideways and jump on the alternate strategy, it's not worked out. You've just found yourself right in the middle of chaos, and the car's found the fence on quite a number of occasions. And I know this one's meant a lot to you, getting the opportunity to go race hard, and you really wanted to show what you were capable of. Finally, last race of the season, you get P2. How does that feel to just get such a weight off the chest?
It feels great, honestly. It's been a long time coming. We just had that in one of those seasons. You should have seen it in a couple of the races. I'm sure in some of the replays you did. We almost got taken out a couple times. So our luck was very thin there, but luckily we were able to get through it and come away with the P2.
Mate, in terms of the season, the championship, obviously not going your way, not racing your way into either of the championship battles at the tail end of the season. Are you returning for 2026? Are you returning for the Winter Series Championship? What's your plans to come and run this series in the future? Because again, there's the proof. It is possible. You know that you're capable of it, and I know that you'll have a bee in the bonnet, really, so to speak, to go out and chase it.
I think this is actually going to be my last race here in this league. There's another league that my buddy runs that he wants me to join somewhere or over there. It's open setup. Some of the fastest guys on the service are in there. So I'm going to go see what I'm capable of in an open set over there.
Right, and finally, opportunity to go toe-to-toe with Phil Scott in the tail end of this one. I heard the comment on the radio of how much fun that you had, and you know the guys, when you get the opportunity to go out there and race hard with them, a lot of respect was shown from both sides. It just looked like you enjoyed that final race.
Yeah, those last final laps there with Philip were some of the funnest I've had in a long time. So appreciate it for him for making it clean there and just having a good battle. We were trying our best to get up to Cosman, but anytime he got up into that high side and tried to block that air, you couldn't do anything. So good on us for trying to get up to him, but congrats to Cosman for winning the championship.
Finally, who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out to for getting it done for you in the number 88?
Oh, yeah, just huge shout out to you guys in the booth. Huge shout out to everyone who puts on this league, puts up with all of us, and huge shout out to Sim Rap Market. Always go check them out.
Ladies and gentlemen, driver the number 88, Kyle Holden, brings it home in P2 with a phenomenal battle for Phil Scott to finish the season. Thank you very much, Kyle, for your time.
Appreciate it.
And
Finally, we are going to take one step down to the driver finishes out of third tonight, driver the number 99, Phil Scott.
Philip Scott comes home third this afternoon, and Scott, back-to-back podiums to close out the season for you. Overall, a good outing for the ObstacleFactory.com, number 99. Some highs, some lows, but good to close out the championship on a high after two attrition-filled races.
Yeah, for sure. And just to bounce back, it just still makes you kind of wonder what if after Martinsville, when I almost won that one, I'm still upset with that. But I honestly, I don't think it would have been enough to catch Cosman anyway, because he was the guy to beat today. And Yeah, with all the strategy, people pitting at different yellows and stuff. So me and Kyle Holden were kind of on the same strategy, but that was it. So we were kind of set back on the last restart, and so we had I knew with like whatever 20 whatever to go, I knew that I couldn't save tires like if I had clean air, and so I just had to rip the top and hope for the best and try sliders and stuff, and it worked. But then once I caught up to Cosman, I was doing everything I could to get a few hundredths here and there, and once I got to about 6/10 back, then all he had to do was just put his car like right up on the top, and then I just shot straight into the wall. So yeah, because my tires were pretty cooked, and that plus the aero just, yeah, so that was game over. So then after that, it was a nice battle with Kyle. So yeah, Homestead's a really fun place.
Top 5 finishes in both championships throughout 2025. A 5th place from the first championship of the season, and looking to be at minimum a 3rd in this championship here. Likely going to end up remaining a 3rd place title. With Kyle Holden, of course, announcing his departure from the series, and Cosmo Inoshu tentative on if he's going to be returning. Do you think 2026 might finally be the year of the 99?
Yeah, I hope so. It was it's been really fun this whole year. I started a few races late in 25A, but this series has been a blast. So many of the top guys are just so quick, and it's just like you get so many fun battles. And I've said it before, but there's a lot of respect at the front of the grid and the back. And so yeah, I'm really hoping I can put it all together, be more consistent. I was a lot more consistent in 25B, but I'm just hoping that I don't make any mistakes. But I definitely had a lot more like top 5s and stuff this season, so I'm proud of that.
Well, Philip, we'll wish you the best of luck in 2026 when we return. Congratulations on taking home yet another championship run, and who knows, maybe we'll be seeing you on top of the boards when we return in the new year.
Yeah, man, thanks.
Philip Scott comes home number 3 this afternoon, and Scott, that's going to do it for our post-race interviews here this afternoon. Overall, an absolutely stellar outing to close out the championship, and the final standings are as follows. Cosmo Inoshu taking home the championship. Had to really work for it this afternoon. He can feel very proud of himself with that.
Yeah, and I think the comments, for me, he's been the one to beat. And look, has it been challenging? Has he been challenged in these last few races? Absolutely he is. I think, again, Phil Scott was probably one of the better drivers throughout the season as a whole, but he just, the second half of the year, particularly that final sort of third or so, couldn't put it together. I think Minardi Major came on really, really strong. And his last few races are probably some of the best that he's had all year, and that's about the best he's driven. So again, comers and goers in terms of the season at large, but also the standard of the league here as well, the quality of the drivers that are here. Big shout out to Ethan Amberg winning, the second last and third last races of the year back to back. That's big for him. Drove his way back through the field to 4th after having to start at the rear of that one, But at the same time, I think, racing's also the winner with this series. Whenever you speak to people, the respect and companionship that's shown up at the pointy end of this series, and I've made reference at a lot of points in time how good the racing is here, and there's an opportunity to be clean. And so there's a few things a little bit more in that. I want to say goodbye to everyone at this point in time as well. That's been supporting this series. It's been an honor to be commentating here on a regular basis. I have thoroughly enjoyed it with the quality and the style of racing that's going on, and like I said, those traits of sportsmanship that I was just mentioning are a big appeal to this series and this league at large, because it makes me want to come and race in it. But unfortunately, with Australian time schedule, my work will be changing in the very, very near future, and I don't have enough details about that, so I will take a step aside. So I want to say thank you to everyone who's been a big fan of this series up until now, and I have the opportunity to broadcast in front of as well. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here.
It's, of course, been a pleasure to have you along as well, and I'm sure we'll be able to find times to get you back into the booth at some point down the road. Well, the road might seem like a long one, as the Speed Cup Series will not return until February. But hey, February could come around a little bit quicker than we think. And the countdown to the season opener will kick off this coming Friday afternoon, where the Zero Torque Racing League makes their return to racing action after they took a 1 break for Halloween. They'll be at Echo Park Speedway. VOR with their penultimate race of the season at the Milwaukee Mile, alongside the SRA Super Speedway Blitz at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Saturday. On Sunday, the road to qualifying for the Indy 500 kicks off with Bump Day at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You can, Pole Day at Indianapolis. You can find all of that with more on Sunday. High Time Race is back for more at Vegas, alongside Mars at Bristol on Tuesday, with PSR out at Circuit of the Americas coming up on Wednesday. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. But thank you once again to all the folks that keep the lights on here for the Highline Diecast Electrical Speed Cup Series, and to thank you to the Speed Cup Series for allowing for us to come on board for more racing action. My name is Little Ramble alongside Scott Rankin, and we'll be seeing you once again when we return in 2026.